You have been doing the work, setting the intentions, speaking the affirmations, trusting the process. And somewhere underneath all of it, if you are honest, there is a question you have not quite said out loud. Why is it taking so long? Not as a complaint, as a genuine, sincere, I am still here question from someone who has not given up, but is starting to wonder whether the timeline makes any sense at all. Here is what nobody says about manifestation. Speed is not random. The pace at which your intentions arrive is directly related to the degree of alignment between what you are asking for and what you actually believe you can have. It is related to how much of your daily energy is pointing toward the intention versus how much is quietly undermining it. It is related to the actions you are taking or not taking in the physical world that signal to everything around you that you are ready to receive what you have been calling in. Manifestation does not accelerate through more wanting. It accelerates through more becoming, through clearing what is in the way, through moving toward what you want with the confidence of someone who genuinely expects to arrive, through closing the gap between the person you are and the person who already has what you are calling in. That is this session. Not more patience, more acceleration. Sit forward, energy up. Speak today not as someone still waiting, but as someone who has just identified exactly what has been slowing the arrival down and is removing it right now. I am accelerating my manifestation, not by wanting harder, but by becoming more completely the person my intentions are already moving toward. I release every belief that has been acting as a drag on what I have been calling in, every quiet doubt, every hedged hope, every part of me that has been asking for the thing while privately expecting it not to come. Speed comes from alignment. I am aligning my words, my beliefs, my actions, and my identity into a single, clear, unified signal right now. I choose to act as though what I am manifesting is already on its way, because it is, and to let that certainty shape every decision I make from this session forward. I release the passive manifestation, the setting of intentions followed by waiting with arms folded, and I replace it with the active kind, moving toward what I want with the full expectation of meeting it halfway. What I am calling in is not lost. It is not delayed. It is in motion. And the speed at which it arrives is being determined right now by how aligned I am with it. I choose to close the identity gap, to become in my daily behavior and my deepest beliefs, the version of me who already has what I am manifesting, because that version is the one it is coming to meet. I release the contradiction between what I am asking for and what I am doing, the gap between the intentions set in the session and the actions taken when the session ends. Acceleration is available to me, not through force, through clarity, through the removal of everything that has been splitting my signal and diluting the strength of what I am sending out. I choose to take the aligned action, the one I have been delaying, the one that requires more courage than the session alone, because action is the fastest bridge between intention and arrival. I release the ambivalence, the wanting and not quite wanting, the asking and bracing simultaneously, and I choose cleanly and completely to want what I want without the internal negotiation. Every day I move toward my manifestation as though it is already real, I shorten the distance between where I am and where it is waiting. I choose to speak about what I am manifesting in the present tense. Not I hope, not I am trying, not one day, because the language of arrival is faster than the language of approach. I release the energy leak, every commitment of time, attention, and belief to things that are not aligned with what I am building, and I redirect that energy where it actually belongs. Manifestation accelerates when I stop spending equal energy on what I want and what I fear. Today, I redirect everything to what I want. I choose to be someone who moves, who takes the next step without waiting for complete certainty, who trusts that the path becomes clearer by walking rather than by studying the map. I release the timeline anxiety that has been making me grip the intention so tightly that there is no room left for it to breathe into form. I am becoming the evidence, walking, speaking, deciding like the person my manifestation is already on its way to. And in doing so, I am shortening every remaining distance. I choose congruence between my public confidence and my private belief, between what I say I want and what I actually allow myself to expect, because congruence is the engine of speed. I release the habit of checking whether it has arrived yet, with the energy of someone who does not quite believe it will, because that energy is the exact thing slowing its arrival. I am a highly effective manifester, not because I am special, but because I am aligned. I am clear. I am taking action, and I am genuinely open to receiving what I have been calling in. I choose to trust the process without obsessing over the pace, to do my part with full commitment, and then release the outcome with full faith that what is meant for me is already in motion. I release every distraction that has been masquerading as preparation, every excuse to stay in the planning phase rather than stepping into the doing phase, where manifestations actually accelerate. Acceleration happens in the gap between the decision and the doubt. I am living in that gap right now, on the decision side, and I am staying there. I choose to be someone who receives feedback from the universe, who notices what opens and moves toward it, who notices what closes and trusts the redirect, rather than someone who pushes against every door, regardless of which way it swings. I release the slow drip of qualified wanting, the I want this, but maybe not that version, and only if these conditions are met. And I replace it with a clear, unhedged, fully committed claim. I am removing every obstacle between me and what I have been calling in, not by force, but by becoming someone for whom those obstacles are no longer relevant. I choose acceleration in my belief, in my action, in the clarity of my signal, and I feel the pace of my unfolding shift in response. I release the last remaining hesitation, the final, quiet, almost imperceptible reservation that has been the difference between almost manifested and fully arrived. What I am calling in is closer than it has ever been. I am more aligned than I have ever been. I am more ready than I have ever been. This is the session that changes the speed. I manifest an acceleration so complete and so felt that the pace of my unfolding shifts visibly in the days that follow this session. I manifest the complete removal of every block, every doubt, every misaligned belief that has been functioning as drag on what I have been calling in. I manifest that the specific intention I have been holding the longest arrives in this season, finally, undeniably, in the exact form that was always meant for me. I manifest a congruence so total between what I believe, what I say, and what I do that my signal becomes the clearest it has ever been, and the response is immediate. I manifest the aligned action, the specific, courageous, identity-matching move that bridges the final gap between where I am and where my manifestation is waiting. I manifest that the pace of good things arriving in my life increases, not occasionally, not randomly, but consistently, compoundingly, in direct response to the alignment I am choosing. I manifest complete freedom from the ambivalence that has been splitting my signal, the clean, unhedged, fully committed wanting that sends a message clear enough to be answered quickly. I manifest that every intention I have been holding with patience begins moving noticeably faster in this season, as though a gear has shifted, and the same energy is now producing double the momentum. I manifest the removal of the final obstacle, the last remaining thing between me and the arrival of what I have been building toward, dissolving now, without drama, without effort. I manifest a version of myself so aligned with my intentions that the gap between wanting and having shrinks to almost nothing, where what I call in arrives before I have finished calling. I manifest financial acceleration, a specific, unexpected, well-timed influx that confirms the signal has been received and the response is already underway. I manifest that the doors I have been approaching with hesitation open suddenly, from the inside, without force, at exactly the moment I commit to walking through them. I manifest complete clarity about the next aligned action, the specific move that my higher self has been trying to show me, and that my fearful mind has been refusing to see. I manifest acceleration in my relationships, the deepening of connections that matter, the release of the ones that have been creating drag, and the arrival of the people aligned with where I am going. I manifest that the universe's response to my aligned signal is faster, more visible, and more undeniable than anything I have experienced in this practice before. I manifest a creativity so unblocked and so prolific that the ideas I have been waiting for arrive in a rush, faster than I can implement them, confirming that the channel is finally fully open. I manifest that the timeline I had accepted as necessary compresses, that what I thought would take years becomes possible in months, because alignment, once complete, does not require the same amount of time that misalignment did. I manifest the specific opportunity I have been too cautious to fully pursue, arriving again in a form I cannot talk myself out of, at a moment when I am finally ready to say yes completely. I manifest that my body feels the acceleration, a lightness, a clarity, an energetic shift that confirms something has moved in the invisible architecture of what I am building. I manifest freedom from the checking, from the daily inventory of whether it has arrived yet, replaced by the settled, trusting, productive forward motion of someone who knows it is coming and gets on with their life. I manifest that every aligned action I take from this session forward is met with a disproportionate response, where small moves produce large momentum because the signal behind them is finally completely clear. I manifest a relationship with manifestation so practiced and so confident that I stop treating it as something mysterious and start treating it as something predictable, the natural result of clear signal, aligned action, and genuine receptivity. I manifest that the waiting ends, not because I finally became patient enough, but because I finally became aligned enough that there is nothing left to wait for. I manifest complete release from the slow timeline, from the version of this story where everything takes twice as long as it needs to because half my energy has been working against the other half.